The master fuse is in the ventilation shaft behind the main generator housing, Elias rasped from the tiny vial, his voice barely audible now. But it's protected by a thermal lock. Weavers only go in there for maintenance. I looked at the shaft, a narrow, dusty grate high on the back wall. Then I looked at the overseer. He was still twitching on the ground. The echo of the primal noise having thoroughly shattered his intentional world. But I knew the silence would restore him soon. I didn't have a thermal key. I only had my grandfather's magnetic rod, and a few minutes before the deep cold began to kill the people in the city above. I need to break the glass on the entire archive. Elias, I said, my voice echoing slightly in the cold, vast vault. Every sound, all at once. The impact will overload the system and send one last powerful pulse of energy through the city. They'll hear it. They'll feel the warmth. It's suicide, Cora, Elias whispered. The energy feedback will be enormous. You won't survive the release. I didn't answer. I focused on the grate. I wedged the magnet rod between the concrete and the metal bars and strained. The metal groaned in the silence. With a final, desperate heave, the grate tore free and clattered to the floor. I climbed into the dark, cramped shaft. I could hear the humming death of the main generator, a low, fading drone. That was the city's heartbeat. The fuse is a thick cable. Cora, you have to snap the connection, Elias instructed, his tiny voice close to my ear. I crawled through the grit until I reached a thick, insulated cable, the master fuse. I took the magnet rod and used its sharp, magnetized edge to score the tough wire. Sparks, actual, intentional noise fizzed into the air. Just then, I heard the sound I dreaded, a slow, intentional drag from the vault floor. The overseer was recovering. Stop, Weaver. His voice was rough, a rasp of fury. You destroy the archive, and you destroy the purpose of existence. I ignored him, bearing down on the cable. Snap. The master fuse broke. The generator hum died instantly. The vault was plunged into a blackness so deep it felt like a heavy, suffocating cloth. The only light was the faint, desperate blue glow of the vial in my hand. With the master fuse severed, I had severed the city's ability to draw energy. The cold would now rush in. I scrambled out of the shaft. The overseer was waiting for me. He lunged, this time silent, guided only by the feeling of the sudden, total cold. I threw myself sideways, landing near the central pillar, the nexus point where the wires from every jar converged. Elias, I gasped, holding the vial aloft. Give them the final sound. The last gasp. I placed the vial onto the center stone and took the magnetic rod. I ran to the nearest shelf, filled with the jars of autumn leaves rustling, the laugh of a child, and a distant train whistle. The overseer saw my intention. He screamed and threw his entire body toward the central pillar. I didn't hesitate. I brought the magnetic rod down onto the shelf in a sweeping arc. Crash. Dozens of jars shattered simultaneously. The world exploded. A magnificent, chaotic symphony of existence rushed out. The soft shush of leaves, the sweet, sudden sound of laughter, the mournful honk of a train. It was beautiful, impossible noise. The overseer staggered into the wave of sound. The conflicting, purposeful noises overwhelmed him. He fell against the central pillar, his body convulsing in the wave of pure, intentional energy. In that deafening chaos, I saw it. The blue light of Ilias's vial began to stream out. The last remnant of the ocean pulled into the sonic storm. The combined sound, the final, glorious symphony rocketed through the wiring, an overwhelming wave of energy meant to warm the silent city. Then the feedback loop began. The sound was too much. The power grid groaned, and every remaining jar in the vault burst into pure white light. The last sound I heard before the vault was engulfed was the fading, sweet, triumphant laugh of the child. The silence returned, but this time it was different. Hours later, I woke up in the dark, cold vault. I was sprawled near the ruins of the central pillar. The overseer was gone. The shelves were empty, littered with broken glass. Every sound was lost. I looked at my hands. They were covered in dust and dried blood. I had failed. I had lost the entire archive. The city would be cold and silent forever. Then I heard it, a sound that wasn't intentional, a sound that wasn't captured. From far above, through the ventilation shaft, came a faint, continuous, new noise. The gentle, steady drip of melting water. The pulse had worked. It had warmed the city just enough to restart the ambient functions, and then another sound. I looked down at the central pillar. Only one piece of glass remained unbroken, the tiny, thumb-sized vial. Jar 405A. I picked it up. It was empty. The blue light was gone, but as I held it, a single, clear sound emerged. A low, continuous, gentle hum. It wasn't the ocean, and it wasn't Elias. It was a new sound, born of both a new ambient pulse. And as I held the vial, I realized what Elias had truly become. Not a castaway, but a living sound filter. His consciousness, forged in the silence and the sea, had filtered the chaos of the symphony into a single, life-giving hum, a sound that was pure enough to survive the silence, yet continuous enough to power the generators. I put the vial against the dead generator housing. Slowly, weakly, the low-level hum of the city's power source flickered back to life. I stood up, the last weaver in a silent world, holding the last sound, which was not a memory, but a promise. The world was still silent, but the city was warm, and the single, constant hum was enough. I had failed to save the sounds of the past, but I had accidentally created the sound of the future.